What's going on, everybody? Quancredible here with the review for chapter 75 of Four Nights of the Apocalypse. This chapter was hype for like multiple reasons. The stuff with Percival, very interesting. I do want to say one thing really quick before I get into the video. I am recording in a different spot. I'm fully moved into my new place now, so I have like my new setup and stuff. So if anything sounds weird or looks weird in the comments, if you could let me know, I would be very, very appreciative. Please let me know so I can fix it as soon as possible. But everything's looking normal to me right now, so we're going to get into the review. This chapter basically starts off with, they're still healing Percival and Tristan, and all the other knights are basically trying to fend off Malaska Gallan. And in this moment, this is when, everybody's talking about how, we need to protect the Four Knights of Apocalypse, we need to like make sure that they survive and all this. And basically all of that compounding hope starts to go inside of Percival, and he gets like another power up. And it's one of those things where I already know this is definitely going to be the trend for Percival's power. He's pretty much going to get people to believe in him, and then he's going to get a little bit stronger, or new abilities and all this kind of thing, which normally would make me upset in a lot of different shonen series, because like the power of friendship can be used very dangerously depending on how it's handled. But since Percival's power is quite literally to turn other people's hope into power, it makes a lot of sense. Almost kind of like how another series I talk about in Black Clover, like, oh, if you're in a dangerous scenario, you could get a new spell. Like, so when that kind of stuff happens, I'm not really too upset, because it makes sense. Seeing as the story already set up rules for it, it doesn't bother me nearly as much as say like, oh man, I'm mad and I randomly got stronger for no reason. Like that, it makes a little bit more sense when it's actually built into the story. So we see this time when Percival summons his mini Percivals, they're like way more developed than normal. Like they have helmets, they have capes. They're way more developed than they previously were, and they can talk. Or they could always kind of talk, but now they're like talking more. Like they're saying, they're not like full coherent sentences, but they're able to communicate a lot more, which is very interesting. And this moment, at first, it reminded me of Naruto a little bit, but then I was thinking it's more of a Tsunade thing. Where the mini Percivals are spread across the battlefield, and they're not really amping anybody, they're just healing people. So it kind of reminds me of, oh, what's the slug's name? Katsumi? The slug, Tsunade slug, what is the name? Katsui? I'm gonna go with Katsui. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up later. You guys can let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But it reminds me of the slug, where basically he sends them all out just to heal people and keep them alive. And this thing was healing like from minor stuff like Dreyfus's back, which is just so bad. Now I guess he is in his 60s or late 50s, so I guess it makes sense. All the way to this one dude who like they said, it was a fatal wound. He had broken bones all over his body. Percival brought him back in like a second. So Percival's healing is definitely super OP, like up there with Goddess healing, way faster than freaking old man Hendrickson's healing. Hendrickson was healing Tristan like at the end of last chapter and like all of this chapter, so it was like kind of wild. Um, Another thing to note, it looks like Percival's hope power actually got him back up, seeing as he got back up before Tristan due to his own power and hope swelling into him. So either that or Nansen's healed him, because Nansen's was like right over there. So I mean, either way, you could either look at it as Percival's ability can kind of self heal him, whereas Tristan may not be able to do that. Or you could take it as Nansen's and his medicine is just a way faster healer than Hendrickson, because Hendrickson was taking forever, I tell you. One thing I did want to talk about though in this chapter that had me really confused, it was after Malaska Gallan did like this like crazy attack that like ripples the ground, and it's like throws like Annie and Donnie and Gawain like away. Annie starts to run somewhere, and Donnie's like, yo, hold up, Annie, like, where do you think you're going? And then we don't see her again in this chapter. So it makes me wonder, like, well, where was she going? Like, is that going to be explored in the next chapter? Because in this fight, like, the way that the chapter ended, and just how Annie is in general, she literally cannot do anything in this fight unless she has some type of hidden power that we don't know about or something. So I'm really curious to know what she actually is doing or where she actually is going. It was just weird. Like I was just like, it just felt randomly out of place. Like as I said, there may be something to it later, but just right here where it was, it just felt really out of place. So after that, we got Percival charging at Malaska Gallan, and he's actually able to push it back as well as pierce its skin or its armor, hide, whatever you want to call it, which is something that Gawain couldn't even manage to do. Like Gawain had to resort to like, you know, teleporting the blade into this monster or into the weaker version of the monster to even be able to like pierce it. So it's one of those things where it's crazy to think about. Massively hope amped Percival is stronger than Gawain, and Gawain's strength is already kind of crazy when you look at like the kind of things that Gawain is compared to. So that was hype to see nonetheless. You know, Percival actually able to fight with Malaska Gallan on, as we see, it wasn't quite even footing, but just being able to damage it, you know, outmaneuver it, you know, block attacks and things of that nature was very hyped to see for Percival. Huge growth from him, but it's still that thing that all of us have been saying. Percival is really unrefined. You know, he hasn't had any proper training outside of like wrestling with his granddad. He doesn't really know how to use a sword. He's just a guy swinging a sword around and a guy that has some crazy magical powers, and it legitimately shows right here. Because even though Percival's talking about, you know, with his power, I feel like I could beat the Dark Talismans, I could beat the Ancient Dragon. Malaska Gallan is too strong as he still got captured and wrapped up. And we know in this series, even if you are weaker than somebody, you can still beat them. So it's like it's almost more of a matter of Percival just really not knowing how to use his abilities. And also I want to touch on his statement when he said he could beat the Dark Talismans. It's one of those things where I don't know if he meant all of them at the same time or if he just meant like each of them 1v1. I'm going to assume he means 1v1. I don't know if he could beat them all at the same time. That might be a lot for him. He might be able to. Let me know what you guys think. I don't think he could beat them all at the same time. I think in 1v1s he probably could, but I don't think all at once. So back to Percival being wrapped up, Malaska Gallan is talking about how she's going to kill him and then kill Tristan. And this is when Yazoda steps back in. Yazoda was putting in work like this entire time, like really trying to fight this thing. But unfortunately, like everyone else, her attacks literally were not doing anything to Malaska Gallan. Like they weren't leaving any effect at all, which is something that I like that they reiterated like in this chapter. Like they talked about it last chapter and in this chapter to really drive the point home that everyone doing things right now outside of Percival really didn't do anything. They're just kind of wasting their time. Like it's actually not even affecting them at all. We get to learn that Yazoda's magic was born from her love from Tristan and it explodes. I mean, that was kind of cool, I guess. Like, cool. It's like some exposition, but it's something that I don't think anybody asked for. And I just thought it was really funny that like Malaska Gallan didn't really care about it either, because she's like explaining where her powers come from, and she's just like, Malaska Gallan just backhands her out of the way, and it's like, yeah, we don't really care about your power at all. I thought that scene was like really funny. And then we get the man of the hour. But right when Yazoda's about to get stomped out, Tristan gets up and he saves her. It's crazy. This panel was it reminded me so much of when Meliodas would save Elizabeth and stuff. It looked like the exact same. After that, he does give her to Dreyfus and tells him to call Lancelot. And as he does that, he just rips Malaska Gallan's face off. Just rips the whole side of her. Well, that's a weird sentence. Rips the whole side face of her face off. That's just... You know what I'm trying to say. It's weird. He ripped her head off that was on the side of her body. But absolutely crazy. And then he says, you know, he's not going to be able to control himself anymore. So this basically does kind of confirm that Tristan probably didn't want to use his demon power multiple times or for a prolonged period of time because he cannot control it properly. Hence why hence why he wants them to call for Lancelot. Now, this is interesting because I wonder if it means that Lancelot is going to beat Tristan down into submission, kind of like similar to a Meliodas Escanor thing, where like, oh, I can't control my power, so you're gonna have to beat me up a little bit. Or if it's like maybe Lancelot has some type of magical item that calms him down, or if there's a special kind of phrase or something. It's really up in the air. I'm pretty sure most of us want to see Lancelot fight Tristan to some degree, but I really feel like Nakaba might do something on a more sillier note and maybe make it like some weird secret word, or maybe there's some joke Lancelot tells that makes him go back to normal. I don't think it's going to be a full-out fight, because that means this arc is getting kind of long in a, like, it's getting longer in an odd way. Like, it would just be an odd direction, I guess. It would be hype, but it would be weird for them to just go into a full Lancelot and Tristan fight right after this. So I don't know. I think it's going to be something silly personally. I also wanted to bring up the parallels. I wanted to show you guys this because somebody sent it to me, and like you can really see the parallels between Lancelot and Meliodas, such as when such as like how I said when he saves them, and just in how the scenes are composed, like when Meliodas like punches Fraudulent's upper half off and Tristan ripping off Malaska Gallan's face. Like it's just the similarity there, and it was hype. I really loved it. And that actually was the chapter. So as for next chapter, obviously Lancelot is going to have to be inbound. There's still the looming threat of Arthur showing up. I guess maybe after they stop. I guess maybe after they stop Tristan, this could be when Arthur shows up because he is supposed to be on his way. I'd imagine they're definitely not going to be able to do anything to him at all. I think it would be really nice though if Arthur does show up and Lancelot, being fresh off of all that Jericho rage, just like rushes him and gets like no dipped immediately. I think that would be like a really interesting touch because it would be out of character for Lancelot, so it would be like it would be out of character, so it would make his character that much better. I don't know if that makes sense, when a character that's usually calm and collected gets mad and does something stupid and then they get like shut down for it. I like those kind of moments. It's very human, I guess. It's very relatable. There was that. So next chapter, probably, as I said, Lancelot and Tristan facing off in some way is going to happen. Not for sure where anything else is going to go in terms of that. I do have a video coming up about Tristan's demon powers. It's going to be hype, so please make sure you're on the lookout for that. Make sure you like the video and subscribe so you see when that comes out. My rating for the chapter, I'm going to give this one a 7. I always give rating. I'm gonna give this one a 7. It was pretty good, honestly. Kind of carried by Tristan in the end, just because it's something that I wanted to see. But still, it was a decent chapter, all the same. So that being said, you guys all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all later this week for that Tristan video. Please be on the lookout for that.